I heard him ask, are you a squirter or a creamer?
Listen up long enough, you can love me. I'll be just yours, you can hold me.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hey, hello, my name is Brittany. So here's the thing, I am on my way to 1,000 subscribers. I need 1,000 subscribers so that I can feel good about purchasing a camera for my channel. So if you look back at my other footage or my other videos, you will see that, you know, your girl has some little editing skills or whatever, and I feel that I can really showcase my creativity with the camera. So I told myself that I couldn't purchase a camera until I got 1,000 subscribers. So I'm here and I'm asking you to help me. Please subscribe to the channel so that I can feel good about purchasing this $800 camera. Like, just between me and you, but the camera is $800 and I don't want to invest that much into a YouTube channel when I don't even have 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for me. And I don't want to forget about my ODs. So I want to say thank you guys for still, you know, supporting me, watching my channel, and contributing, leaving comments and everything. That doesn't, I try to reply and respond to every comment there is. Like, I've gotten so much traffic and so many messages, and I try to respond to everybody. So if you're an OD and you're being interactive with me on the channel, I really do appreciate that. I really appreciate you being here. I know that I address the newcomers a lot, but I want to let you know that I appreciate you too, because you've been rocking with a girl and I really appreciate that. So yeah, that's one thing. Okay, so as you can tell by the title, this is the start of my ex-boyfriend experience series. I don't know what I'm going to call it as of right now, but you can tell this is the start of this. And I just want to go ahead and say a few things, like, I guess you can call them disclaimers or whatever. But I want you guys to listen to my stories and understand that I have grown from that girl I used to be to this woman that I am now. Everything that I'm going to be sharing is just solely off of me just being transparent with the hopes of helping the next woman or helping the next girl, whoever she may be, taking whatever you can get from my stories and realizing, like, no, that's not the move. Oh, that's a red flag. Or, you know what, this sounds like such and such. Let me let him know I'm not finna do that with him. Like, yes, if you get that from my stories, I will be satisfied. But as I'm telling you, I do not want to be, I guess this is the internet, so I'm putting it out there, but try to not judge a girl. Like, they say that you have to, in order to grow from it, you have to go through it. Let's go ahead and say that I went through a lot of stuff, and I do feel like that's what I do feel like my past is what has made me the woman that I am today. So I'm not ashamed of it, which is why I'm able to share it with you guys. But it is something that, you know, I don't feel like I should be judged for, because you have to live and learn, okay? So I just want to go ahead and put that out there to, you know, let you guys know when you're listening and you're hearing my story, to be easy on your girl, because I'm being transparent and I'm keeping it real. I don't want to lie about nothing, and I don't want to not tell you the full details so you don't know what the deal is. Like, I want to give it to you raw, because a lot of the information or the stories are some that I wish I had heard, or I wish someone had informed me on some things, you know, put me up on game so that I can know not to do such and such and such and such. So if you're watching and you already know that you're gonna judge me, like, go ahead and exit out this video, because I don't want to hear it. I done been through it. I'm not the same girl. I know I made some dumb mistakes, and I know that I made some stupid decisions. I already know that. But everything that I'm gonna be discussing, like, I'm in a relationship now, and I've been in this relationship for almost 3 years. So everything before that, like, I've learned. I am in my 30s now. All this stuff happened when I was in my 20s. So I've learned. I'm a whole different woman. You know, every now and then I be like, oh, Brittany 1.0, Brittany 2.0, it's Brittany 3.0 now. So I'm a whole nother Brittany. So all the stuff I'm going to tell you is in the past, and that's no longer me. But I went through it, and it's produced this one hell of a woman. So let's get into it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the time that I dated charming, calculated, and cunning blank. Okay, so I met this guy on Tinder. Like, again, don't judge me, but I met him on Tinder, and it was like really fast. Me and another guy had just broken up, which you will hear about him later on. And I just want to go ahead and let you guys know that these are going to be out of order. I'm telling you this one first because I feel like I was the biggest dummy in this one, and I want to go ahead and get this off my chest because I don't want to hold this one in. I need to let you guys know. So they're gonna be out of order. But like I was saying, I met this guy right after I was just getting out of a relationship. I met him on Tinder. The talk game was there, or the texting game was there. You know, you send messages back and forth. We finally decided to meet up. We met up. First date was pretty okay. He took me to some, I guess it was like a I don't want to call it a bowling alley. It was it's where you go and shoot pool. And I want you to keep that in mind. He took me to a place where you go and shoot pool. Upon arriving, you know, he asked me if I wanted something to drink, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a table for us. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And he went and told, I guess, the cashier what table we was gonna be using, what pool table we was gonna be using. And he came back and he was like, I've already paid for it. Would you go show your ID? I left mine in the car. And I was like, okay. And at that moment, it didn't dawn on me, you know. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll go show my ID. So I showed my ID, and we were able to get our drinks off of that and get the table or whatever. So we were shooting pool, and of course he was being a gentleman trying to show me how to shoot pool because I don't shoot pool, I don't play pool, but I did agree to meet this guy. He asked me if I knew how to shoot pool and did I mind doing that, and I was like no, which I just wanted to meet him anyway. But so anyway, we were shooting pool. He showed me, you know, a few moves. Of course, they do that thing where they get behind you and try to, you know, show you how to move the stick or whatever. So we were shooting pool, talking, getting to know each other. But in the place, it got really smoky. Like, they allow people to smoke in this pool table place. And I was like, we need to go outside because I do have asthma. So we need to go outside so I can get a breather. And he was like, okay, cool. So we went outside. We took our drinks with us, and we were talking. And I noticed that majority of the time, I was doing majority of the talking because I'm not gonna lie, like, I like to talk. I like to talk about everything. I like to talk about everything. I like to ask questions too. I ask 1,000 questions. Like, anybody that I've dated would say, like, she asks questions she asked a lot of questions in many different ways, thinking she's gonna get a different answer. They all said that. But anyway, I asked questions and we were basically getting to know one another. We ended up staying out there for, I'll say, a good 2 hours, and then I got in my car and I left. Shortly after, he texted me to make sure that I made it home, and I told him, yeah. At the time, actually that night was my last night at my guy's house. Like, the guy that I was breaking up with, we were going our separate ways, and the next following day I was supposed to be moving out. So I told him that I had made it or whatever, and that I was gonna be moving tomorrow, and he asked me if I needed any help, but I didn't, because I had already contacted somebody else to come and help me. And I was able to get moved in and get settled, and he offered to come and, help me get my apartment settled. Now, this was around fall time, so I don't know if it was like a fall break or whatever, but my mom had my daughter, so I was able to move in without having my daughter and get everything settled and situated without her being around. So I was able to do that. Once I got my house in order, the guy he asked to take me out again, just to the movies or something, to, celebrate my new place and the fact that I had put up my bed and got my furniture situated. He offered to take me to the movies, and I noticed that on this date, it was a little, what he did. He picked me up. We went to the movies, and he asked me if I had my card. Now, again, this is like the second date, so immediately, to me, that's a red flag. Like, I do expect you, like, I'm a woman, right? I can pay for myself if I need to. However, when you're trying to court me, like the old folks said, if you're trying to date me and you're trying to, like, possibly be my man, I'm gonna need for you to at least cover at least 5 to 6 dates before I have to come out my pocket. And on the second date, he was asking me, what he asked me? He asked me would I go ahead and pay because something happened to where he didn't get paid from his job. And I was like, okay. He said that, I'll give your money back tomorrow. Is that okay? And I was like, we're already here, so I might as well. So I went ahead and paid for us to attend the movie. But in my mind, I was thinking, now, why wouldn't he just sit up here and say, you know what? My funds didn't come in like I thought they were, so can we go ahead and reschedule for a different date, and I take you out then? Because I would have minded, but he waited till we got to the theater, and he presented that on me, and of course I had no choice but to pay it. So I went ahead and paid it. It was cool or whatever. We watched the movie and it was good. He dropped me off home. That was fine, right? So third outing, he did it again in a way. So what do? We did something earlier that day, but then that night, what we did earlier that day was like, it was like, I don't know, I went to the grocery store with him, or he went to I don't know, it was something that was free. It was just basically spending time together. It wasn't really like a date per se. But later on that night, we decided, or he asked me if I wanted to go out and meet up with his friend who also had a date at this, to me, it seemed like a lounge. Yeah, it was definitely a lounge. So he asked me, whether or not I wanted to go, and I was like, cool, a double date, that sounds okay or whatever. So I got dressed, he got dressed, and we went we went to the lounge, and it wasn't like a double date. It was like, okay, meet my friend and his girl, and we're gonna go and find our own table, which was fine. I'm cool with that. But I was, more so wanting to get to know him a little bit more, because he had told me that he did, what is the proper term for it? Because I don't want to just say the man cut grass. He said that he owned his own lawn company. That's what he said. And that it was in the fall, business had slowed down, but he was still having jobs, So keep that in mind. I know that's random, but keep that in mind. So we are in this lounge, and he asked me, like, are you hungry? Do you want something to eat? And I was like, yeah, I can, have a snack or whatever. That's fine. And he was like, okay, tell me what you want. And I told the lady, and I was like, oh, okay. He's being like a gentleman, because I like that. I like when, the man asks me. I can tell the lady what I want. I don't mind it, but I do like it sometimes when a guy can take your order from you and then go ahead and tell the lady what you want, or the waitress, or whoever it may be. So I was like, okay, that's fine. And he told her what I wanted, but he also told her what he wanted as well, and reached for my card. And I'm like, what? Well, why are you asking for my card? Oh, let's back it up a little bit. So eventually, after the movies, he did pay me back. But this date, he was saying again that the job did not come through. Not that the job, he said that he gave me the same story, that he had worked, didn't get paid, and he wanted me to cover, and he was going to pay my money back. Now, being that he did pay me my money back for the movies, I thought it was good to, well, I didn't think it was good that I was having to pay, period. And don't be asking me out if you don't have the funds. Like, I don't like that, but I felt like, he kept setting me up. I let it happen one time, then I let it happen again. So that was going to be my last time, like my final straw, when I realized that, he was making a habit of this. Yeah, he had only did it one time before, but in my mind, oh no, buddy, you can't keep doing this. This is your second time doing this. You don't ask me to go somewhere with you, and you knew you didn't have funds ahead of time. It's like I'm taking you out on a date. So I told him, that's not cool, but I'll go ahead and pay, because again, we had already ordered it. So at this moment, I'm thinking, this dude is used to this. He's not a dummy. He knows to ask a female out and then pretend like he doesn't have the money. So I told him that we wasn't going anywhere else. I wasn't going anywhere else with him, unless he for sure had the funds first. And he got upset. This was like the third day. Now, mind you, in between we have been talking and texting, and he had been coming over a little bit, and we have been spending time. So by the third date, it was like, he got upset at the fact that I said that. And I told him, I don't like this feeling. I don't like feeling like, I'm sitting out here paying for dates. Even if you are paying my money back, it's the principle of the matter. Like, you're asking a female to go ahead and cover or spot you because you don't have the money. I don't like that. So after that conversation, things started like going downhill, of course. Shortly after that, I fell sick. I don't know what was going on. Like, I was having bad abdominal pains. I had to go to the doctor, and they told me that I had some type of rupture. I don't know. That was a possibility. It felt like really, 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 really bad cramps, and the doctor that I went to was like really, really, really old, and they really didn't have like I guess the medical office actually looked like a house. So I don't know, I just kind of felt like maybe I should get a second opinion. and I ended up going home, like leaving the medical office, going home and just toughing the pain out. And this guy at the time, he was there for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, even though we had went on those, 3 days or whatever, he showed up and he was, get me what I need, to really good care of me, nurse me back to health, because I could not walk. I could not stand up straight. Thank God my daughter was with my mom, because there was no way that I could have taken care of her with, with these pains that I was having. Eventually the pain subsided and I was able to be myself again. And I told him thank you, for being there for me. And of course that brought us a little closer, being that he had been spending time with me and he had been taking care of me. Like, I felt like, I don't want to say that I felt like it was my duty to, to continue to entertain him, but I did, like, I let up a little bit. So fast forward, eventually I had to go and get my daughter, and he was actually at my place at the time. So we had decided that I was gonna go and get my daughter. I don't know why he needed to be at my place while I was gonna get my daughter. I have no idea. I know it was a reason, but I'm not sure at the moment. But there was a reason why he had a reason to be at my place while I went to go get my daughter. And then when I was gonna come back, I was gonna find the key up under the door or whatever. Not under the door, but I was gonna find the key under a mat. Whatever we had decided on, I don't know. Well, I left to go get my daughter. My mom, she lives 3 hours away. So I drove 3 hours away, and I was planning on, like, I left on a Friday, and I was planning to come back on that Sunday. But something was telling me, like, come back on that Saturday. Like, yeah, you go, sleep over, and then come back the next day. Don't wait till Sunday. And of course, I got on the phone. I told him, I was like, I'm gonna come back Saturday. He was like, why? Why did you change your mind? I was like, I don't know. I just felt like I, wanted to come back home. I like being in my own bed. That's what I said. By this time, we really had decided on being, like, exclusive to one another. So of course, I wanted to, be around him. I'm not gonna lie, like, he caught me at a very vulnerable time, because I was just leaving my ex, and I was still in the fields for having, like, a man around, or a man being in my presence, or being in the company of a man. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes men just have that manly energy that us women like. Not necessarily like, oh, you just need a man, I need a man, but it was more so like, I like being around you, per se. So, being that we had spent all that time around each other, and we was getting to know each other, he took care of me, we did decide on, being exclusive and really seeing where we can go from what we have been doing. And so this particular weekend, when I decided to go home and then come back, of course it was, so that, one, I can get my daughter, and two, for me to, eventually be able to see him. And when I made it back to Atlanta, because this happened while I was in Atlanta, when I made it back to Atlanta, he was still at my place. He had not left yet, but he was actually in the midst of, like, getting ready. Like, he was about to go on a date, So I'm like, where are you going? He was like, oh, I got this thing, with some friends. I'm about to go do this and then I'll come back. And I was like, okay, all right. So I spent some alone time with my daughter. And, I told my daughter about, what was going on. And I know some people may say, oh, you don't need to be introducing your kids to such and such so soon. You live and you learn. I I just basically told her, that was my friend. Mommy wasn't feeling too good. He helped me. He took care of me while you was gone. So this is my friend. Like, it wasn't nothing, like, it wasn't like he was in my bed, or, you know what I mean? She didn't see any of that. So it was like, oh, okay, that's my mom's friend. Because my babe, she knows that I have friends. I do. I really do have friends. So he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna, catch you later. So I didn't think nothing of it. I let it go. About an hour later, I got a phone call. And when I got the phone call, I was listening. Well, first I was like, hello. Nobody said anything. And eventually, like, I stayed on the line. Like, I'm listening, trying to figure out what's going on. And I heard him ask, are you a squirter or a creamer? And I'm like, what? Did I hear myself right? And I heard a female laugh. And I'm like, what? And she was like, what? What? Are you serious? And he was like, yeah, I'm serious. Are you a squirter or a creamer? And I was like, some nasty. I cannot believe. So I'm like, hello, hello, hello. And of course he didn't hear me because I was in his pocket apparently. And I let it play on. I let it, I kept listening, and I was getting so fumed. Like, even though we had decided on being exclusive and, to get to know one another, like, I was like really bothered. Like I said, I was vulnerable at the time. I was just going through some things. Hear me out. I was going through some things at the time, and I don't know, I just felt like dealing with him was like karma for a previous relationship. So eventually I hung up the phone, and he ended up calling me, realizing what he had done. And he was like, I'm on my way now. And I'm like, no, you might as well stay where you are. Like, this was good while it lasted. I'm good. We didn't get too involved. So it's good to just go ahead and leave it here. Now, even though my mouth was saying that, like, my mind wasn't really there yet. So he managed to come back and he told me that I didn't hear him say that. I heard his friend say that. Like, I didn't know his voice. I know what I heard, and it was definitely him asking her that. So he just swore up and down that it wasn't him. That wasn't the case. I had it all wrong. So to me, that's like strike two. Like, I know that I felt like he was on a date. I know when he left, I felt like he was going on a date. And then me hearing that basically solidified the fact that he was actually on a date. But I don't know what made me continue to let this dude mess up again. So, fast forward, because even though I did, like, we went back and forth about that, but he was saying one thing, I was saying another. I know what I heard. At that moment, I guess I wasn't ready to just let it go. Because you know how they say, like, once you, let me see, how do you put this in a nice way? I had never been involved with someone that that had skills, certain skills. And you know how they say sometimes when a man have these certain skills, it's kind of hard to leave them when they have certain skills. So this is my first time experiencing a man that had these skills down pat. You know, he had skills, like, trust me, skills, right? So I don't think that I was like ready to give that up, and I basically like pushed that to the side. Like, yep, he probably went on a date, he got caught, he came back that day and pleaded his case, and oh, that was my friend. I didn't, in my mind, I convinced myself that I didn't know for sure if it was a friend or not. I don't know what I did, but somehow we ended up continuing, and he ended up, what did he end up doing next? It had got to the point to where I had started questioning, like, why we always like kicking it at my place? Like, let's go to your place. He told me that he had roommates. He didn't want to be bothered with his roommates, you know, being in his business or whatever. Now, me being the person that I am, I just could not accept that. So I was getting a little, I guess you could say, bothered by the fact that that's what he was giving me. Like, I was not settled on that because I felt like something was up. Something happened. I think I had like, something went out on my dryer, and he had brought his tools over to fix my dryer. And in that, he ended up leaving his tools. He had left, and he ended up leaving his tools to my place. And I ended up looking through the tool bag, and I found a piece of mail that had an address, and I'm like, okay, so this is his address, this is where he stay. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and take down the address just in case I may need it later. Okay? So at that time, you know, I put the little mail bag, I wrote down the address, put it in my little dresser drawer, and you know, called and told him that, you know, you left your things here, you need to come get them. So he came back, he got them. Something happened. I'm sorry, you guys, if I'm having trouble remembering certain things, but something happened to where I ended up like pulling up to his place. I didn't see his car outside. So I ended up calling, and I was like, where you at? I'm at your place. And he was like, how you know where I stay? And I told him, you know, how I got his address. And he was like, Brittany, I got something to tell you. Like, that is my place, but I live there with somebody. And I'm like, what? Now, mind you, this guy, when my daughter was away, he was like staying over nights, you know, helping me when I had fell ill. He was staying over, and like he wasn't going home anywhere. So I'm thinking that he was very much single. He wasn't wearing a ring or nothing, or he didn't say he was in a relationship. His ass was on Tinder. So I'm like, what? He said that I'm married. Now this guy, he was Jamaican, right? He said, I'm married, and it's not what you think. It was I'm married in order to get my papers, basically. Like, here in Atlanta, you find a lot of guys who are from different countries who are, you know, willing to pay to get somebody to marry them or pretend to be in a relationship. Like, it happens, right? So he was like, you know, I'm married, I gotta get my papers. We're not together, but we do have a daughter. So I'm like, well, what? You have a daughter? And he was like, yeah, I do have a daughter with her. I said, so you live in this place with this girl, and y'all have a kid together, and y'all are married, but you spent nights at my place? What? Are you kidding me? And he was like, no. It was like, I was gonna tell you. I'm like, when? When were you gonna let me know? Like, why didn't you say something when we had decided on being exclusive? And he was like, I didn't want to hurt you. I know that you was already in a vulnerable state and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, no, sir, buddy, nah, And he was like, I can call her up for you right now and she'll tell you that we are not together. We just roommates. And I was like, what? And he was like, yes, I can get her on the phone and she will tell you. She will tell you that we're just roommates. We are not together. She does her thing. I do my thing. We're not together. We co-parent. But in order for me to get my papers, like, that's what my address is. You know, that's where I stay whenever I'm not, you know, out. And we sleep in separate rooms, and you know, I'm there for my kid, and yeah, that's just how it is. And I'm like, what? I have never been in a situation like this. So I'm like, dang, Brittany, how do you handle this? Like, do you continue like talking to this dude for his skills, or do you let this dude go? Like, do you really want to deal with that? And I was like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like, at the beginning, I tell you, like, this is the worst one. This is the worst one. So, being that I want to keep saying that I was really in a vulnerable state. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was hurt about my previous relationship ending and the way it went down. Like, both of us really said and did some bad things to one another. And I still wanted the presence of a man, but it wasn't my ex, it was this guy. So I was in a very, very, very bad state. So I did not tell him that I wanted to talk with her. However, I did find it, like, I don't know how I found comfort in the fact that he could still be, I don't know, spending nights with me and not have a wife looking for him. Because if you got a wife, you know, you're gonna get phone calls in the middle of the night. I know she's gonna be calling, but his phone never rung. She never, like, I've looked at his phone, never text, never call. Like, there was no one. He dead behind, acted like he was single and seemed like he was single. So I just took his word. I was like, okay, so this the deal. This is what it is. He's basically there. And he would talk to me. He would talk to me while he was home. He would talk to me on the phone and everything. And he would tell me, you know, what he's doing with his daughter. And if I heard anybody, I'm like, you know, who is that? And he'll be like, oh, that's her. Like, he would just carry on conversations. Like, he didn't skip a beat. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, maybe he's staying in this dynamic, in this situation, so that he really could get his green card. Because I knew that I wasn't about to marry him, and so he can get his green card. I knew that wasn't going to happen on my end. So if that's the case, then okay. I don't know why I was accepting this. I don't know why. But that happened. And I think like maybe about 3 weeks after that, my last straw happened. He was over. He had came over, and he was on my laptop, right? And he was like on Facebook. He was signed in on Facebook, and out of nowhere, he was like, I'll be back. You know, I gotta go do something. I'll come right back. And I was like, okay. So I get my laptop, and I'm looking at the computer. And I noticed that his Facebook was still up. So I go to his Facebook messages, and there he is messaging some female who was coming from a different state to go to school here. I think she was about to start at Clark, Atlanta, for the winter semester in January. and they were talking about meeting up, and she needed a ride or something, and I guess that's where he was going to. He was going to get her to transport her from one place to another, and he did all this on my laptop. So I looked at that and I was like, you know what, this is it. So I went ahead and I messaged the girl and I was like, hey, this is Brittany. I've been entertaining such and such, and I just want to let you know that everything that y'all been discussing, you know, he's basically a liar and he's a scammer to me. And if you know, like I know, you'll run. And you know, she got my messages, and she, you know, she thanked me for letting her know, and you know, said that I basically saved her because you know, she was really starting to get to like him, and you know, she was kind of weary about these Atlanta guys because like I said, she was just coming here, she was coming into Georgia from a different state to go to Clark. So she was like, thank you, you know, I'm gonna avoid this due at all costs or whatever. So I guess by the time that he eventually made it there, she was able to let him know that she had spoke with me, and he ended up contacting me. He was like, what did you do? Why did you do that? And I'm like, you a liar. Like, don't ever come back to my place. This is, like, I'm done with this. I cannot deal. And he ended up coming back anyway, but he ended up knocking on the door for hours because I would not let him in. I had decided that this was all I was going to put up with this dude. Like, no, I can do bad all by myself. I didn't need a guy to continue showing me that he wasn't no good. Like, he gave me so many signs. I think the first sign was basically the fact that, like, he was lying. He was lying. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, like, on the third date, he never paid me my money back. Like, I think that's why I continued to entertain him, at least until I got my money back. And I think he knew that. He knew that just as soon as he paid me my money back, that I wasn't gonna fool with him no more. But he never paid me back for that third date. He was totally disrespectful. Then he was married, and he had a child. Then he didn't have his green card. And it was a whole lot, and I eventually had to like let it go. Like, I think I gave him a good 6 months. Was it 6 months? I feel like it was 4 months. Four to 6 months, I think it was like 4 to 6 months of my life, and I felt like that was it for me. What this taught me overall was to not move on so fast. Like, give yourself time to heal from your previous situation. Like, jumping from that relationship that I was in and then jumping into this really taught me, like, after relationships, you're in a vulnerable state. No matter how strong that you think you are, you give off like, I don't know, like damsel in, what they call it, damsel in distress, is it damsel in distress, I don't know. But this man, he felt like he could come and take advantage of me, because I was already hurting and down and out about the previous situation. And yeah, it just taught me that even after relationships, you need to take some time to build yourself back up. Cause I'm not gonna lie, like, I was off my game. I was off my boss behind. Like, first time out, like, I was off. I was way off. And I missed all of that just because I wanted to be in the presence of a man. And I ended up giving 4 to 6 months to this guy who didn't mean me no good. And I just want to let you guys know, like, do not jump from one relationship to another. Give yourself time. Love on yourself. Use that time to love on yourself. Make sure you're straight mentally. Make sure, you know, you got all your ducks in a row. Make sure you don't, like, build yourself back up everything that you had and probably was broken from leaving a relationship. Like, you need time to just get everything back together, okay? So that is the end of this story time, and that was my overall lesson from that relationship. If you can relate, leave me a comment down below. Again, don't judge me. I was vulnerable at the time. It was a lifelong lesson. To this day, I refuse to give a man like some money to take, for him to take me out on a date. Like, what? Like, and don't do that. Like, go ahead and ask, like, okay, so are you paying for this? You got your money? I didn't know. I've never had to be like, are you sure you got money for this date to take me beforehand, or will you be asking me for money like during the date? Like, I've never been in that type of situation, but it was what he came with. So yeah, that's the end of that story time. If you enjoyed this one, go ahead and like this video. I have more coming. I'm gonna be sharing the X Experience series every Wednesday. So if you really enjoyed this and want to hear more, because there is more, let me know down below that you enjoyed this one and you want me to keep going. And again, if you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm on my way to 1,000. I really need your help. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I guess this is it. Again, don't judge me, you guys. Do not judge me. But this is it for now, and I'll catch you guys in the next relationship. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.